Hey, buenos dias, ¿qué pasó, amigos? John's Moto Garage. Welcome back to the channel. I'm just about to start a skate sesh, but I had a great idea for a video. Today we're going to talk about the 5 must-have upgrades to become a Dyna bro.
Yikes.
So if you thought you could just go out and buy a Dyna and become a Dyna bro, then I have to tell you, man, you could not be farther from the truth. There's a lot more that goes into it. Now that's just talking about what's on the motorcycle. If you want to find out about whole styling type stuff, who was it? Somebody did, I think Bikes and Birds did a great video on how to be a Dyna bro when it comes to the actual styling. But you know what, we'll talk a little bit about that too. Let me jump on the skateboard, get a good skate session, and then on our way out of here, we'll talk about the styling stuff that you have to have. And this is coming from a wannabe Dyna bro who is aspiring to be an actual Dyna bro. All right, you guys, we'll hit you soon after this skate session. All right, you guys, John's Moto Garage. What an awesome skate sesh. And as you can imagine, I landed every one of those first try. Hey. You try to walk it off. Alright, so we're going to go over 5 must-have upgrades on your Dyna to become a Dyna bro. Like I said before, it's not enough to just have a Dyna. You have to upgrade it and set it up in a certain way. We'll do a few honorable mentions when it comes to upgrades, and then also we're going to go over not just having the moto, but you also have to look the part. So we'll discuss those. So for starters, I think the number one thing, and these two probably go hand in hand, but let's start with the exhaust, man. It's not enough to have stock exhaust, definitely not enough, but it's also not enough to just have aftermarket exhaust, or you don't want some Vance & Hines short shot exhaust. You've got to have some type of 2-in-1 exhaust. I don't care what brand, make sure it's a 2-in-1 and you're good to go. Secondly, let's talk handlebar setup. Stock handlebars are not going to cut it, you guys. You got to have some type of a T-bar, riser, or pullback. And ideally, with a motocross bar, these are a 10-inch riser for a guy like me at 5'8", way too tall, but it definitely fits the part. All right, the next thing that you have to have, the seat. Actually, before the seat, let's talk about the shocks, rear shocks. Don't be caught dead out there with some stock rear shocks, my friends. You're not going to be able to pull the wheelie game with it, and you're going to look like a dang fool out there, man. You got to get some shocks. Ideally, if you have to piggyback, and the taller the shocks, the better. Mine are slacking a little at 13.5 inch. Ideally 14 inch or taller. If there's a gap between the rear fender and that rear tire, that's what you're looking for. And second, I slipped earlier, the seat, man. You can't have a stock standard seat. You can't have a solo seat. You've got to have some type of a step-up seat. Saddlemen, Step Up, tons of other brands out there. But the seat is going to make or break it, man. Now, the following are not must-haves, but definitely are going to help boost you into that Dyna bro status as far as the bike goes. And that's going to be some type of a fairing, quarter fairing, you know, a mini fairing. Can't be a full fairing, absolutely not a batwing fairing, but some type of a fairing, something like this. Definitely gives you extra points. You can also do saddlebags, some type of a defender bag system. Conley saddlebags are big ones. The I forget the names of them, but you know the ones I'm talking about. So if you want functionality, but you can also do like thrash and supply bags. And what else? Let's look at foot pegs. The foot pegs, you want to have mid controls. Some type of motocross pegs are going to be ideal. They're going to be the raddest and the baddest. And then let's talk drivetrain, final drive. Most Harleys are going to come standard with the belt. And I see some dudes ripping and killing it and shredding with the belt. But let's face it, you guys, a belt's just not as gnarly as a chain. And so the chain conversion is the way to do it. And that leads me to the next conversion. If you have a lowrider, you're good to go. But if you accidentally got yourself a Dyna Street Bob or any of the other Dynas, then not to fear, hope is here. You can get, the Dyna Street Bob comes with the chopped rear fender. It's not the full rear fender. Why that matters, I don't really know, other than some people scrape and hit 12 o'clock. But if you have a Street Bob, you're going to want to do that full rear fender conversion. If you have the Lowrider S like this, you're going to want to do that full rear fender conversion as well. Then I think officially you're good to go. You've got yourself a legit Dyna Bro setup. Now that's only half the battle. You've got yourself the setup, but do you look the part? Now Bike and Bird actually did a pretty hilarious video on how to be a Dyna Bro some while back. And this isn't a ripoff of that, but that comes to mind obviously because I saw it back in the day. There's a certain apparel kind of style that you have to meet and match, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit. Let's start with the footwear. Now, people always make fun of the Vans. Just right off the bat, I've been wearing Vans, pretty much these type of Vans, TNTs, which look like the classics, since I skated back in the day. So, you know, I'm proud to say I actually wore these prior to my Dyna Bro wannabe days because I actually skateboard. And you see a lot of the skater style influence in the Dyna Bro style as well. But Vans footwear are great, but you also see people wearing these like boot style things, almost like Timberlands, something like that. It's going to be something along those lines, probably not legit riding boots or shoes, but it doesn't matter because all you're doing is busting wheelies, you know what I mean? Donuts and all that kind of thing. Oh gosh, dang it, man, this guy totally ripped me off, bro. So now let's talk pantalones, aka pants. Most Dyna Bros these days are going to be wearing either pants and or some type of shorts. Usually Dickies, cutoffs. You got to have socks, tall socks, tube socks, something along those lines. The more graphics on the socks, the better. And ideally if you got a couple tattoos on your leg, that's just going to kind of dial it home. But it's not a must-have. That's a cool bike there. But you can wear pants, and honestly, skinny jeans are not in. They haven't been in for a long time. I wear these because these are the type of jeans I've worn for a long time myself. But typically, if I'm not mistaken, for Dyna Bros, and this is the style within skateboarding now as well, it's all about the Dickies. Torso, upper body. You got some options with the upper body. You can wear anything from a t-shirt. Vests are definitely rad. Now I will say the cool thing about vests is at least gives you some protection over your typical t-shirt. And while I don't have one, I would love to get a vest, so I will get my hands on one someday. I'm hoping Rebel Reaper will send me one, but if not, I'll probably buy one. Shout out again, he sent me these gloves, which we'll talk about here soon. But yeah, so it could be anything from a t-shirt, something like a Thrash and Supply t-shirt, or a t-shirt with a dude doing a wheelie on it. It could even be a Harley t-shirt if it looks a little ragged and beat up. Oh, big one, flannel, obviously. Flannel, plaid. Dixon is huge. If you're gonna have flannel or plaid, it can't be a cheap one from Old Navy. You gotta be dropping at least $100 to $150 on some quality flannel or plaid. All right, let's talk gloves, man. Hand protection. There's nothing like being the Dyna dude and dragging hand on the wheelie, or if you're like probably like 90% of us out there who ride Dynas, you can only dream of it, but that's okay. You can still put your hand down and act like you're touching the ground, but you gotta have some type of gloves. And with the Dyna stuff, really the less restrictive the glove, the better. So you're not gonna get one with knuckle busters. That's just not gonna look right. You gotta have basically a glove that's very thin on the top, but you got some palm protection. And yes, it does have some palm protection. Thrash and Supply, you want bright colors. Red, black's okay, but as long as you have some type of contrasting white, or even better, just go to freaking Home Depot and get yourself some mechanics gloves. You know what I mean? You guys know the ones I'm talking about. Oh, you know what else is coming in right now? What's that stuff called? It's not fleece. Windbreakers. Windbreakers are back in, bro. All right, let's talk headwear, man. So you're either going to be wearing a helmet. Some people like to do the backwards hat, which is just as much protection for you. So a backwards hat, some eyewear, and or a helmet. If you're wearing a helmet, man, first and foremost, Simpson. But I have to say, Bell and Simpson are pretty much right there now. So one or the other, and you should be good to go. Simpson Ghost Bandit, Outlaw, one of those. I actually have a Bell and a Simpson, and it doesn't really matter the color. You can have all kinds of colors. They're all rad. They're all rad. But that is the one thing I must say. I think it's cool that the West Coast has made it cool to wear a helmet on a bike like a Harley. Because for the longest time, a helmet on a Harley, just the two didn't work. And I have to say, at least now, you see it and you think, yeah, that's pretty rad. I even bought into that. I think that's pretty much it, man. I think that's pretty much it. So there you have it, guys. John's Moto Garage. The 5 must-have upgrades on your Dyna to make it into a true Dyna Bro bike. Plus a couple honorable mentions. And then additionally, the proper apparel. And I'm sure I missed a few things. Leave a comment below, you guys, if I missed anything. Oh, I forgot to mention crash bars, man. You got to have some type of crash bar on the motorcycle. But that's actually smart, because if something does happen, you're going to be good to go. All right, and as a final bonus, dude, the things you have to do to actually be a Dyna Bro. You got the bike, you got the apparel, you look the part, but now can you actually walk the walk? And this is where the majority of us, myself included, fall very short. And there are a select few people out there who truly embody and represent what it is to be a Dyna Bro. That is, you got to be able to do wheelies, not just any wheelie, but I'm talking about a straight up 12 o'clock, scraping the fender. In addition, stand-ups, knee knockers, just pretty much any type of wheelie. But it doesn't end there. To ultimately be a Dyna Bro, you also need to be able to do some legit rolling burnouts. I'm talking legit rolling burnouts. And not only that, but actual drifting. And this is where it gets real crazy, but actual drifting is pretty gnarly on these things, man. I can only imagine, because I'm nowhere close to even trying it. But they drift these things and it is freaking gnarly, dude. Drifting on both ways, foot down, foot not down. Yeah, so drifting, burnouts drifting, wheelies. Now you've got the ultimate dudes doing circle wheelies on these things. And now a lot of the Dyna Bros are jumping their Dynas, which just seems totally insane. Like, you know, I can see why you'd want to try wheeling one, but jumping it, it's like you're just asking for that thing to be broken. But that's like the next thing now, dude. You got to jump your Dyna if you really want to do it. This video comes off as somewhat maybe mocking a little bit or satirical, but honestly, I'm a huge fan of that stuff. I'm a huge fan of the wheelies. I'm a huge fan of the bikes. I don't hate the style, and I'm a big fan of the drifting and all that crazy stuff they do. Am I jealous because I can't do it? Heck yeah, I'm jealous that I can't do it. Do I think it's rad? Heck yeah, I think it's rad. And so honestly, I think that stuff's pretty rad. John's Moto Garage. If you dig the content, like, subscribe. You can hit me on Instagram at John's Moto Garage. You can support the channel through Patreon as well. And big shout out to the patrons. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Adios. Nos vemos.